He is a 17-time Bassmaster winner, a 2-time Angler of the Year. He is the 1998 Bassmaster Classic Champion. The flippin' power of Denny Brauer joins me this week. Oh.
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, and of course my humpers. Happy hump day to all of you, and welcome back into the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. Welcome into the 196th edition of the Mercer Podcast, and I hope wherever you're watching or listening from in the world that life is treating you well. It is a fun time of the year, and lots going on in my world. For folks that are local to me, I'm going to be in Toronto this Saturday. I'm going to be at the Toronto International Boat Show. Saturday morning from 10 a.m. until 1, I'll be hanging out in the Yamaha booth. So swing by. It's always a fun show, a very busy show, but kind of a chill fishing vibe. So swing by. I'll have lots of time to talk to you guys about fishing, about whatever is going on in your life. And if you stop by, let me know you heard this on the podcast. Always good to meet humpers in person. So swing by Yamaha booth, Toronto International Boat Show, this Saturday morning at 10 until 1. That would be, if I was more professional, I'd be prepared, but that would be the 25th of January. See you this Saturday. Heard about 25th of January. Wow. Guess what? It's happening again. The months are flying past. But it's this time of year traditionally has. There's a lot of great things going on. If you're a football fan, you got to watch collegiately Ohio win the national championship this past week on Monday. And this weekend is championship weekend in the NFL. And before you guys shut down, which is a weird thing. I don't get how the world's getting like this. I'm proud that you guys are such a cool, positive audience. Like every single guest I have on here is just blown away by how constructive and positive the group of people that listen to this show is, because that is not the norm in the podcast world. So I thank you for being that. But there is one thing I do every once in a while. I talk about football, and it makes people ornery. I mean, it literally, you'll see him in the comments. I didn't tune into this free fishing podcast to hear you talk about football. I hate football. I mean, it's literally like putting on a song that a 4-year-old doesn't like. And they're like, I can't hear it. Please don't do that, people. Life is too short. Relax. If you don't like what I'm talking about, let me introduce you to a little piece of technology. You can just fast forward past this and get right into the other stuff. You're welcome to do that. I mean, I wish you would stick around, but you have every right to do that. But as I said, it's a big weekend if you're an NFL fan, especially if you are a Buffalo Bills fan, an Eagles fan, a Commanders fan, or a fan of the back-to-back world champion Kansas City Chiefs, trying to make history and three-peat, which I get it. People get ornery. People get very, very ornery around the Chiefs nowadays, which I understand. That's how it works. I mean, we used to be on the other side of that. If you remember back, winning means you're cheating. I mean, Michael Jordan was a cheater when he was winning. And then that Tom Brady fella, well, he was a filthy, dirty cheater. He was such a cheater that in 2019, when we played the Patriots, I think it was, everybody was like, hey, thank God for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're so new and young and fresh. We can't wait to see them beat the Patriots. And now, just a few years later, all of a sudden, we're the Patriots. We're the hated ones, the cheaters, they pay off the refs and all craziness. I mean, it's what people say. And I guess it's good because, I've probably told this story before, but last year, championship game I watched in Florida with my family, and a dude came up to me. There was people around the tiki bar that were a little chirpy, but it was all in jest and joke, and I can take a joke. So they're all chirping a little bit, and a guy comes up to me and goes, oh, you're getting chirped a lot as a Chiefs fan. I said, yeah. And he said, love it, embrace it, he said. And he pulls out his phone case, and it's a big Patriots logo. He goes, do you know how much I miss being hated? So one day this team will not be hated as much, and I will miss it then. So bring the hate. It's fine. We're going to lose. I hear it every year. I mean, wait till next week. They're going to get you. And sooner or later, they're going to get us. I mean, this is probably the most complete Bills team we've ever played. Josh Allen is playing his best out of his entire NFL career. I think he's the most put together. But then again, we still the Chiefs. So anything can happen. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know this. No matter what happens, there'll be a lot of people ornery that Taylor Swift was showing on camera. That being said, I did watch that national championship game. How many times did they show LeBron James? And maybe I'm a weirdo. I know that situations are situational, as Patrick McAfee will say often. All the Patricks I love. Patrick Mahomes, Patrick McAfee. I guess it's Pat McAfee, but he's Patrick to me because I respect him that much. But he always says situations are situational. So, I mean, some of you might like to see LeBron better, but I mean, I'd rather see Taylor Swift. I mean, she's a big deal, and they don't show her that much. But regardless of what happens, here's the two outcomes that are going to happen this Monday. If the Buffalo, well, let's start with the Chiefs, the more likely, in my opinion. Let's say the Chiefs win. They are one game away from becoming the first ever three-peaters in Super Bowl history. Let's say that happens. Well, on Monday, the headlines will be, they cheated, this call was wrong, that call. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, when you win, you're a cheater. As I said, there was a lot of cheaters in the past. And when you win in sports nowadays, you're a cheater. And speaking of the refs, here's the weird thing. Why do we do it the way we do it? I mean, we live in a world where the TV commentators have replayed it and showing you the slow-mo. There's a lot of things that happen in real time that it amazes me the refs get it right as much as they do. But we live in a time where we can have instant review. Why don't we have instant review for everything? It wouldn't slow down the game. You just have a little earpiece in the ref, and he just announced it. And then nobody yells at him. Nobody says it's fixed, but then they would still say it was fixed because that's a good narrative, and I get that. But so if the Chiefs win, they'll be cheaters, and it'll all be because the NFL wants Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. But if the Bills win, it'll be finally they got it right. Finally, they knocked the dragon off of its castle. But we'll still be them Chiefs. And we'll be battling out for years and years to come. So I look forward to it. I really do. I have nothing against the Bills. I think they're a great... I mean, I said it a few weeks ago. If the Chiefs can't win the Super Bowl, I would love to see either the Lions or the Bills. They are two franchises that have been... They just freaking deserve it. Obviously, the Lions out. The Bills still in it. Hopefully, my Chiefs take care of them. But if the Chiefs... If something happens, I'll cheer for the Bills. I mean, I'm not afraid to say that. I mean, they're a great team. But we still the Chiefs. So I get it. Let me know in comments what you think. Who do you think is going to win this week? Will it be the Chiefs or will it be the Bills? Will the Eagles beat the Commanders or will the Commanders, with their rookie quarterback, take out the Philadelphia Eagles? It is a fun week of football, and that's what I'm excited about, seeing some great games. And let me know. I'm sure in the comments there will be. I appreciate every one of you in the Chiefs Kingdom that defend me and comment week after week. We appreciate it. Stand together. But I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of haters. And that's fine, because you can dislike that about me, but still like what we do here. Because I think what we do here is pretty good. I mean, we have some pretty cool guests. Great conversations. And this week, welcome back. If you were one of the viewers that had to leave because we were talking about football talk, we're back. It's fishing now. Let me give a symbol so we're fishing talk now. Because we're going to talk about a guy. I'm sure he could have played football if he wanted to. I mean, there's nothing this man can't do. He is the kind of name. I have the greatest job in the world. I get to, I do what I dreamed of doing when I was a kid. And the amount of people that I get to talk to and the amount of people that I've become close friends with, it's mind-boggling to me. Like to be, there's still the fanboy in me that's like, whoa, so-and-so's calling me. But Denny Brauer is one of those dudes. Because Denny Brauer, I mean, he's the kind of legend that, let me put it like this. He's the kind of legend that if you're out fishing with your buddy and your buddy makes an incredible cast under the dock, beautiful pitch. Whoa, who do you think you are, Denny Brauer? But he really is Denny Brauer. What a career he's had. This past week, he was featured on The Cast. I told you guys about the Cast episode of Rick Clunn. We'll check out the Denny Brauer one. I will put a link down below, as I did last week for the Rick Clunn edition. But the Denny Brauer one, a great one. And you forget just how much this man has accomplished in his career. He's just a 17-time Bassmaster winner. Multiple Angler of the Years, a classic champion. I mean, we're talking about a dude that was on the David Letterman Show twice. Actually taught Ozzy Osborne how to cast. He's truly, obviously already a Bass Fishing Hall of Famer, but truly a Hall of Famer, truly a legend to our sport. And what I love about him is we have great open conversations. You know, there's nothing off the table when you're talking to Denny. And I think you'll learn from this conversation that Denny is still a very active angler. And I asked him about it, but he has zero doubts that he could still kick your bass with a silent B. And when I say yours, I mean everybody fishing the Elite Series. He says he could still kick your bass with a silent B. And I don't doubt him, because he is freaking Denny Brauer. Speaking of which, before we jump into our guest, look over my shoulder. You see what's right there? You see what's right there? Denny Brauer box right there. His Wheeties box. First angler also on a box of Wheaties. Having him on here this week. So we spent a little extra time. Decorated up the backdrop a little more. You see the Wheaties box back there. You see we got an Enjoy Beans sign. Neon sign. So we're classing the joint up a little bit for his visit here. But if there's one thing I could change about this podcast, other than some of the nice new additions that we have added to our backdrop, is that I would be one-on-one with the guests. I wish I could just sit down with them, because a conversation is so different when you're looking at each other, when you don't deal with technology. And every once in a while, I mean, it's pretty smooth, but every once in a while, someone's calling me now in the middle. I am recording a podcast. It's very unprofessional. I tell people to put their guests. I tell the guests to put their phone on mute, and then I do that. What a bonehead. If I could change one thing, it'd be to have those one-on-one conversations right in their face. Like, I wish I could teleport to Denny Brauer's house and have the conversation together, because there is a technology flaw at times where there's just a little delay. And this was one of those conversations where, because of Wi-Fi or whatever, we were kind of cutting out on each other here and there. So there's a few times we step on each other. But all in all, I think this is a pretty cool conversation with truly one of the greatest to ever play the game. The one and only Denny Brauer. The one and only Denny Brauer. It is wonderful to have you back on the show. How are you today?
Well, I've been better, Dave. Had me a little accident.
What happened?
Well, you know how old people fall down all the time? I guess I'm one of them, because I fell down. I fell down in a boat. I'm between boats right now. I sold, and my new one's not quite rigged yet. So one of my neighbors says, "You want to go out fishing?" And of course I want to go out fishing. So we get down to the ramp, and he says, "Why don't you get in the boat, and I'll just back you in." And so I go to get in the boat, and I go to step down, and I stepped on one of his seats, not knowing that they got storage underneath. I'd never been in one of them models before. And the seat tipped up and launched me, and I face planted right into the rod locker and a bunch of rod and reels, and ended up with a black eye and blood all over the place. And once I kind of regained consciousness, so to speak, he goes, are you ready? I go, yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead and launch it. He walks up to the truck to find out that his truck's running, the keys are in it, the window's shut, and it locked itself. So here we are on the ramp with the vehicle running, keys locked in, had to finally get hold of OnStar. This whole deal took about a half hour. Luckily, nobody else was dumb enough to be going fishing. So we unlocked, got launched, and went 4 hours without a bite. So that really made it interesting. So.
And that all happened this morning?
No. That happened a couple days ago. It's cold. Okay. It's kind of like Canada Day.
Yeah, it is cold. You guys are dealing with some very rare. What do you do when it gets that cold? Do you just hibernate?
That's when I work in the garage on tackle and do things that I put off for about 6 months and try to take care of stuff like that. Because I'm not going out there when it's miserable. I don't have to.
No, it's nice too much of the year to suffer through that.
I did enough of that over the years.
Is that the best thing about being retired? Like, you get to go fishing when it's good. You can make your own schedule.
Actually, that's part of the reason I did retire, Dave, because it allows you to fish where you want, when you are, where you want to go, when you can. You can, not go out on days like this. So that certainly helps out and helps the attitude, because I know there were days on tour where I'm going, why are we at this place? This doesn't even make sense this time of the year. And then it'd be, man, do we have to go out in this weather? That was just part of the game. You had to, and at times I kind of cherished those days because I felt that you could turn them into an advantage. But
yeah.
The older you get, the less you want to fight the weather. So, no, I enjoy this part of retirement, fishing right here where I want to fish and going out on the days I want to go. But that said, I want to go about every day, so I get out and play stuff too.
And you're also on standby right now for a hunt, right? Like waiting on the call.
Yeah, my neighbor that locked his keys in the garage or in the truck when we went fishing the other day, he's going with me. So hopefully I'll drive and we'll take my vehicle. But we're on standby to go out to Colorado mountain lion hunting, climb some mountains. It's one of the toughest, most vigorous hunts I've ever done in my life. It's a real challenge physically. And at my age, a challenge like that's a good deal. And it's pretty gratifying if you can just survive the deal.
You've done this before, right? This isn't new for you, the mountain lion deal.
No, I've actually done it 3 times. So this will be the 4th time we went out there to do this. We got some friends out there that are outfitters in northwest Colorado. It's about an 18-hour drive from here, and beautiful country, hunting a lot of big ranches where the lions are really, raising a lot of hell with the cattle and everything on these ranches. The ranchers are begging the outfitter to come in and bring hunters to try to control the population. So it's a neat deal.
I think I'd have trouble hunting something that just might be hunting me.
It can get a little exciting at times. I could go into some real stories about both of the lions that I did get. It was up close and personal, and I have no scars to show for it, so I feel real lucky.
So lucky that you just keep doing it.
Hey, it's the adrenaline rush. It's no different than a 12-pound bass on the end of your line.
Is that why tournaments are what they are? Whether it was when you were fishing today, I mean, it's cool catching a 5-pound bass, but it is like putting it on steroids if you get to do it during a tournament.
It really is. Some of those fish just will always stand out in your mind because they were actually the fish that turned the corner for the tournament and enabled you to win or do well. So, yeah, you always have special memories of certain fish. And one of the reasons we moved down here was just because of the big fish. Obviously, the weather is nice most of the year, too. There's just something special about catching double-digit fish, or when a fish gets over 7 pounds, he's a really special creature, and it's just a different deal when you hook into a fish like that. And you talk about get excited, and it doesn't happen every day, believe me, out here, but when it does happen, gosh, you don't forget where you caught that fish.
Do you still remember? What amazes me about tournament anglers is, I mean, they got to look on their phone to remember their wife's birthday and all sorts of important dates, but they can they can take you literally right down a shoreline, tell you every dock that they caught a fish on, didn't catch a fish on, that there was a buoy hanging off the side of this one dock, like such intimate details. Do you still remember stuff just as crisply?
It's amazing because there's a lot of things I don't remember very well. And as you said, phone numbers, at times I don't remember my own phone number because I never call it. But where you caught fish and what you caught them on, what the scenario was, what the weather was, that's all embedded in your mind for some reason. I don't know whether it's the fact that you enjoy that moment so much that it never ever leaves you or what. But I actually still remember the first bass I ever caught, what the lure was, what the situation was, where it was. And I don't know how old I was then, but I wasn't very old. But I still vividly remember it because the water was clear. I saw the bass actually hit the bait. And I mean, I was hooked.
Okay, paint the picture for me, because I would be doing a disservice to the fine folks that tune into this show if I don't ask you to. If you remember it, let's hear it.
Well, I was still obviously in Nebraska then. And if I'm guessing, I was 8 to 10 years old. We lived at the edge of town, and the neighborhood thing was for the kids to go down and fish the little old creek that ran by the edge of town. And we'd catch catfish and bullheads and carp and all kinds of bluegill, stuff like that. But very, very rarely would you ever catch a bass in that little river there. But I had an uncle that was pretty big into fishing, and my father passed away when I was 4, so I had a couple of different uncles that kind of took me under their wing, hunting and fishing wise, and it'd take me along. And he was heading to a sand pit up by Columbus, Nebraska, and about an hour drive from where I lived. And we got up there, and you could actually wade this stream that connected two sand pits together. It was like maybe 3 foot deep at this deepest place, and that's where we started fishing. And that's where I caught that bass, super clear water, throwing a yellow spotted lazy Ike. I could on a little push button reel. I couldn't tell you what it was, probably like a Zepco 202 or something. But it was like a 3-pound bass. And you talk about put a memory in a young kid's mind. It certainly did. And I've never forgot that fish. I couldn't tell you what else we caught that day, but I can tell you about that fish.
Today's high-tech fishing world can be a real pain in the neck, especially if you're running the wrong mounts. Beat Down Outdoors, they bring the graph to you. And they support this podcast and care enough about you to make this a short ad read. Check out Beat Down Outdoors. Now back to the show. What is it about bass specifically? Because I get it, they're the tournament fish and everything, but there is something, and it is something for people that they connect. Like, did you have the same connection with every species of fish, or was bass different for you?
The bass was different because I thought it was more of a challenge, and you were forcing the activity, where with a lot of other species, you were waiting on the activity. You know, you're sitting there with a bobber, you're sitting there catfishing or whatever. And I'm not saying it was boring, because I enjoy and still enjoy fishing for other species. But something about the bass, the challenge that it offered, just really hooked me. And the fact that I could figure out how to go find them. And that was part of the challenge and part of the interest I had in it, how to figure it out. And some of those other species, they weren't that complicated to figure it out. They would, obviously come to you, the catfish, but man, the bass, just very intriguing.
Are you a patient guy?
At times, other times, absolutely not. It depends on the scenario. I can be real patient sitting in a deer blind, and some scenarios like that. I can be real patient sitting out on a point that I know there's some big fish on, waiting for them to bite if I got total confidence that they're there. But there's other times, no, it better happen in a hurry or we're going to make a change.
So you say you want to go fishing all the time. I mean, I'm sure the only thing that interrupts it is hunting, but like, how many days at this point in your life, how many days a year are you on the water?
Oh God, Dave, I don't know, but there's a lot of weeks I'll go 4 or 5 days a week, and
Wow.
unless I'm fishing a local tournament or something, I try not to fish on weekends. Stay away from the crowd, and we don't have much of a crowd here on Lake Amistad. But still, I just enjoy getting out there, and some days I don't even see another boat, and that's what's so awesome about being down here on the border. But and it depends on seasons.
Yeah.
When fishing gets tough, I may go 2-3 days a week. When fishing's really good, I may go 7 days a week. And it depends on company, and I've got a lot of friends that like to get out, so it varies.
So you're still competing in some tournaments?
Oh yeah, I fish a few tournaments a year down here just for fun, and if you can make a little extra gas money, that doesn't hurt either. But no, I'm not doing any traveling like I was. My traveling days are over unless the right scenario comes along.
What is the right scenario?
Well, I really don't know because I haven't been tempted by
it. So would said scenario be a dollar amount? Would it be a opportunity? What are we what do we need to do to get you back, Denny, is what I'm saying.
It could be either one or none of the above. I just thought I'd throw that out there for a teaser, Dave.
I appreciate it. I mean, the world needs to wonder if you're coming. I mean, Denny, I look at your career, very accomplished, but a little lazy, I got to be honest. I mean, Rick Clunn fished till 79 years old.
I know. What's up with that?
How incredible is that and he's fishing the opens this year. It's not like he's stopping.
He's got my total respect. I mean, just to physically be able to do that at that level, I mean, that takes just a lot of dedication, and he works hard at it. He's not out there just putting in his time. He's out there trying to truly do well, and so you got to respect that. And man, if I had to get up every day, I'm younger than he is, not by much, but to get up every morning and go through that grind and put in the effort that my mind would make me do, just because I don't know how to do it any other way, I think it'd be pretty hard physically.
Did you and Rick spend much time when you were first on tour early on? When did you form a relationship with Rick Clunn?
Oh gosh, Rick and I never did spend a whole lot of time together. We were competitors. We had a lot of respect for each other, but we weren't what I'd call close friends. We were friends, but we didn't hang out together. My wife traveled with me, and my son, for part of my career, he was out there fishing and traveling with me. So a lot of times we'd have a cabin or rent a house somewhere, and we'd be off to ourselves. So I guess I just didn't associate with Rick too much.
Gotcha. Do you still follow the tournaments today?
Oh yeah, you bet I do. I don't know many of the guys anymore. I know a few of them out there, but I enjoy following the tournaments. Some tournaments more so than others.
Yeah. Which ones do you like to watch the best?
The ones that are, let's say, a little more versatile, more things happening, rather than staring at a screen.
Oh, okay. So you answered the second part. So you do not like the
that, didn't I, Dave?
Yeah, you didn't beat around the bush there.
Anything wrong with that?
Last time you were on here, we talked about forward-facing sonar, and I remember you saying that there could come a time when some leagues outlaw it, some leagues limit it, and you said, I hope that never happens, because I think that's what this sport is. It helps technology evolve. Those companies do a lot for the sport. Have your feelings changed at all in the last 2 years?
No, in fact, I'm not saying I'm good at it, Dave, but I'm getting better. I think it's very, very interesting what you can learn with this new technology and how you can dissect a lake. It's not to me about just totally throwing at fish and catching fish, but man, to see piece of structure out in front of you where you know to make that exact cast, be more efficient with your boat controls that you can use to your advantage other than what you witness all the time on TV, so to speak.
Gotcha. Do you believe in the right circumstances? And I mean, I shouldn't know that an answer that I want to hear here, but I feel there's a certain answer that we all want to hear. But do you believe in the right circumstances that Denny Brauer can still kick some ass on the Bassmaster Elite Series?
I absolutely do. And it's really tempting to go out and show people you still can. But it takes the right circumstances. It did back 20 years ago when I was fishing. When conditions would line up to what you do best, the odds go up of you doing well. So have you lost that ability? No, I don't think so. Is my hook set quite as strong? Maybe not. But I'm going to get the job done if the situation's right.
If you had to pick traits that you possess, and whether you were they naturally became part of who Denny Brauer is, or traits that you had to learn, what are 3 traits that stand out to you that allowed you to achieve success at a top level?
I think number one would probably be work ethic. I'm not afraid to be the first one on the water and the last one off. I always said that if you can't outsmart them, outwork them. And I think if you've got a good work ethic, you're going to be very successful. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest individual out there, but you got to be smart with your decisions. You got to be able to make good decisions and believe in those decisions. It's real obvious some days when you got somebody in the boat, and at the end of the day, they got 500 lures laying on the floor that they tried during the day. They didn't, they didn't have much of a game plan, but probably when it comes to success on tournament fishing, confidence ranks right up there with everything else.
Can you have confidence without success? Or is it a chicken the egg thing where the success has to come to give you the confidence?
I think success breeds more success as your confidence increases with success. Obviously, it sets you up to repeat that. It becomes repetitive, so to speak. I do think there's people with confidence that never, ever experience success. And I'm not going to mention any names, but bless their heart, they keep throwing it against the wall, keep trying. And who knows when the right scenario is going to come along and it actually happens. But they continue to believe it will happen. Some of them end up broke and without anything trying. But confidence is a very dangerous tool. And if you got it and know how to exploit it, you can certainly use it to your advantage. I think all the guys that have been very successful, and I'm sure you've interviewed them all, and you can tell by talking to them that they had a lot of confidence in what they did or are still doing.
Yeah. And and there's 2 types of confidence. There's like the boom, look who's here confidence that I think is quite often the exact opposite. Like there's that quiet confidence where you just know, like it's not even the most boastful person that's the most confident. Sometimes it could be the quietest person.
Yeah, it seems to me if you got to tell somebody how good you actually are, you're probably not all that good.
There's a famous quote: if you're good at something, you'll tell people. If you're great at it, they'll tell you. What about the zone? People talk about being in the zone in all sorts of sports. If that exists, it has to be a place where you've resided a part of your life.
I really think there's something to it. It kind of goes back to that confidence deal, but there's so many variables in our sport. Some sports you always got the same size football field, the same size basketball court, etc., under pretty stable conditions. Our sport, there's so many variables outside of your control. Are some other competitors going to find those same fish that you found, exploit the same patterns? If you happen to have that spot or those patterns to yourself, you win. If you don't, maybe you finish 10th or don't even get a check. So there's some of that stuff. But it's just one of those gray areas, Dave.
So but it's something you definitely feel like when you're in the zone, you know it, right?
I think it kind of just happens. I got on those rolls where you don't know whether it's the conditions or it's the mental state you're in that's creating the success. But once again, the more success you have, the easier it is to repeat that success because you are gaining more confidence. You are fishing better. Once in a while, you're physically at the height of your game too. And then a lot of times you hit the right scenarios. You hit a stretch of tournaments that, man, they set up right for what you really like to do. And maybe it was not the most popular thing to do because of the lake. It might be known for something else. And that allowed you to exploit something that you could win with. So, I mean, there's so many different scenarios. But, yeah, there is such a thing as getting in the zone. And I can look back over my career several times when before the tournament started, I just pound my fist on the table as we were eating and go, I'm going to win this tournament. There's no doubt in my mind. I just knew I was going to win. And why? I just felt what I was doing was maybe a little bit different and had all the possibilities for me to win. If I didn't win, it was going to take a fluke situation. And about every time I remembered that I did that, I did end up winning the tournament. So, some of it's a little bit mental. Sometimes it's a little bit of luck involved for everything to go right. But you got to have that confidence. That is so important in our sport. You got to believe in what you're doing. You got to believe in every little change you make on the water. You got to have a reason why. Sometimes you can't even answer those questions. I've had outdoor riders after a tournament. Well, why did you switch and move over here at a certain time? I wished I knew the answer to that, but something told me I needed to do that. Could have been the change in the weather that you spend so much time on the water subconsciously. You make those changes. You really don't know the answers to some things. It's just part of the beauty of the sport.
When you look back at competing over the years, what percentage of your decisions were thought out? Like pre-tournament day, you say, I'm going to go here, here, and here. Here's my milk run, or however you set that up in your head. And what percentage of those decisions were literally just instinct and I need to move now?
I think you really think out how you're going to start your day. And it depends on how much water you got, what you got working, what type of pattern you're on. Are you on a couple of spots, or you got a pattern you can totally run over a large stretch of the lake? Totally different game plans when it comes to those. Some of it's wait and fish out, and some of it's making it happen. I don't know what percentage over my career I did what. Most of the time, you kind of fish what you're given. The fish play a part in those decisions.
Yeah.
If everything's working, you continue with that. If it's not working, it forces you to make a change. Now, you got to have a reason, obviously, to make that change, and you got to have something to go to. I remember we had a tournament on Lake Chickamauga, and I think I was in 10th place going into the last day. But the top 10 was like a who's who of bass fishing. I mean, Clun, Nixon, you name, they were in that top 10. I felt my odds of winning were probably not that good, but we were fairly bunched together. And I had a grass line that I was fishing a jig on, and the edge of the grass is about 12 foot deep. And that's how I caught my fish leading up to the final days. And I started down that grass line and never had a bite. And I reworked it and I reworked it. And I didn't have anything else really to go to. And it got to be 12 o'clock noon, and I don't have a fish in the live well. And I thought, well, where could I possibly pull this out of the hat? And I had Steve Price, the outdoor writer, with me working on an article that he rode with me one of the practice days. And I'd been way up the river where the two rivers come together. And it was blowing fairly good. And I'm graphing this point that ran way out into the lake. And huge balls of bait were laying off the ledge, but you couldn't get any bites up on top. But I told him, I says, as much bait as here, there's got to be some bass around somewhere. And at noon, I got to thinking, I wonder, the wind is blowing like 30 miles an hour. If it pushed that bait up on that point, and if I ran up there, I could possibly get a bite. And of course, we had co-anglers then, and he looked at me like, oh, this isn't going to be fun. And I thought, I got nothing to lose. So I took off and I ran up there and I tied on a Fire Tiger crankbait. The point was pretty dirty from the wind blowing on it. And I ended up catching 3 fish that weighed like 18 or 19 pounds and ran in and won the tournament. So, you know what forced that decision? That decision was forced by my fish not biting, where I planned to actually try to win the tournament.
So you can have the perfect plan, but your plan's going to adjust. And that's honestly, I think, what addicts people to fishing. I mean, that's the reason you still, after everything you've accomplished, when they're biting, you want to go 5 to 7 days a week because of there's no guarantee.
The sport's got a huge mystery to it. And I think that's what because we don't know what the outcome's going to be. We may think we're going to go out and whack them, but you never ever know for sure. And then you may think it's just going to be one of them lousy days, and it ends up being one of the best days on the water you ever had. So that just intrigues me, you know, the what if factor. And you're not going to know what if you don't get out there.
Avco not only makes incredible outdoor clothing, but they care about anglers with their 10% pledge. Avco and the Shed family donate at least 10% of the company's profits to conservation and making fishing better. Now back to the show. Were you a fan of the pro-on-pro draw days?
Not really. It was interesting because you got to fish with some people that you'd always dream about getting to fish with. Rick and I, we drew out 2 or 3 times together, Larry Dixon and I, Tommy Martin and I. So, man, you got to fish with some good friends. But every now and then you draw somebody that thought he was a lot better than what he was, and you were forced to spend half the day doing stupid stuff. And, you know, that was his right. But unfortunately, it cost you a tournament now and then.
Yeah. Nobody would make Denny Brauer do stupid stuff, would they?
Man, I had a guy. we were on Bugs Island, and I couldn't tell you the guy's name if I wanted to. If I knew it, I'd tell you. But I drew him the first day of the tournament, and I told him it was a fall event. I says, I'm catching them on topwater, and as it gets up in the day, they bite better and better and better. And he goes, well, I kind of want to go to my fish. And I go, well, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm flipping. And I'm going, you're flipping? And he goes, yeah, I'm flipping. And I go, I won a tournament here a couple of years ago, flipping. And there's only one bank that's even got any wood on it that you could possibly flip. And he goes, yeah, that's the bank I'm fishing. And I go, well, you and about 100 other guys in practice fished it. And he goes, well, I kind of like to go there. And I go, well, that's way up the river, and I'm fishing way down here in Nutbush Creek. And he goes, well, I don't know. And I go, well, we're going to have to make our minds up. And he goes, well, I'll go with you to your fish. And I go, fine. And I tried to tell him, if you want to drag me up there on the first half of the day, because the second half of the day is when these fish bite better. Well, we go to my first spot, and he catches a 4-pounder right off the bat on a popper. And I'm going, this is fabulous, because he's a believer now. Well, I fish another spot, and I catch a 2-pounder. It gets to be 10 o'clock, and we haven't had another bite. And he goes, it's time for my half of the day. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, we need to go to my fish. And I go, you said, he goes, it doesn't matter what I said. I'm entitled to half the day. And this is some joker from Oklahoma that had on shorts with knee-high socks. I'm not going to go in. Bright red hair. I wish I could remember his name. I'd trash him right now. But anyhow, he drug me up the river. He pulls up to the first log. He goes, just run it down this bank. And I go, you drug me up here. You want to fish it so bad, you're going to run the boat. And so he pulls up that first log and he flips it probably about 30 times. And he moves the boat forward a little bit. And I turn around and I flip out to where the end of it was that he never did fish. And I catch a 5-pounder. So now I got 7 pounds. And now he's making about 200 flips each log, every inch of it. And this bank's like 200 yards long. He finally gets down to the end without another bite. And on the last log, he gets a bite and he loses it. And he goes, they're starting to turn on. We're going to go back the other end and rework it. And I go, oh my God. And so the first day I end up with 2 fish that weigh 7 pounds. The next 2 days, I have the biggest stringers each day of the tournament. I end up in second place, get beat by David Fritz by 2 ounces. Did I want to go that idiot? Yeah, I wanted to go strangle him, but that was the rules. Had no choice.
I feel like there's still a little party
about the pro on pro.
I feel like there's still a little party that would like to strangle him, Denny.
Yeah, those opportunities are hard to come by, and you hate to have somebody that thinks they know what they're doing ruin it for you.
Is that why ultimately pro on pro draws ended up going away, just because of those opportunities that people were missing?
I think those deals were rare. Usually 2 guys could work together really good, and that was the same deal there. If he would have, just got honest with me the first day and said that if I don't have what I want by 10 o'clock, I'm going to drag you up there, I would have made him flip for half the day he was. So some of it was probably my fault too, that we did not have a total understanding. But that's really, over all the years of doing it, the only really bad experience I had. I've had my butt kicked by those guys in the back of the boat. I had a guy on Toledo Bend that he ended up hit back when it was 7 fish limit. He had like 34 pounds, and I had 2 pounds, and he never left the back deck of the boat. And he didn't have a clue what he was doing. It was the most bizarre day in the world. So once in a while, you can do everything right and think you really got your act together, and all you end up being is a good guide. I was a really good guide that day.
How frustrating is it to compete in a sport where that does exist? Like in golf and stuff, there's a lucky shot here and there, but you can't. There is opportunity. There's people that have no business catching a bass that on certain times they just light them up. Is that frustrating?
Well, this was a deal where I ran over to a hump that the top of the hump was probably about 10 foot, had a little grass scattered on it. It was foggy out. Surprised they even let us go. And I've been catching a few on a spinnerbait. I told him that. And he ties a spinnerbait on that had a great big old single spin deal. And it got away from him, went straight up there, come down, hit the water, big splash, and halfway picking out a backlash. And once he made contact with his spinnerbait, a 5-pounder had ate it. He hadn't even turned the reel hand. And, he puts it in a live well. A little while later, he catches another 5-pounder on the same goofy cat, where he's picking out a backlash and it sinks down there. And now I'm throwing mine up in the air, making splashes, letting it sink down there, trying to catch one. So sun come out, they quit biting, and he's got 2 that weigh 10 pounds, and I got 0. So I run to another spot, and this hump's a little bit deeper. And I told the gentleman, I says, you're going to have to fish a jig here. Your spinnerbait won't work. He goes, well, I've never fished a jig. And he says, I got some. And he ties one on. That, back then, when a lot of times you threw several baits on one rod, and he didn't have a whole lot of rods along. He didn't know how to put a piece of pork on. That was back in the pork frog days. I had to show him how to get his pork on there. And I threw mine out. And you know how you just get the feeling somebody's watching you? And I kind of looked over my shoulder. And when I'd move my reel, he'd move his reel. He's doing exactly, I'd move my rod, he'd move his rod. And he goes, am I doing it right? And I go, well, you're doing everything right. But if I was you, I'd set the hook because your line just swam by the trolling motor. He catches another 5. And I mean, it just went that way all day long.
Wow. Have you ever seen a UFO? Do you believe in UFOs?
You know, I've never seen one, Dave. I'm thinking I do believe a little bit in them, yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, there has to be something else out there. What about Sasquatch? Yeah. You're an outdoorsman. What have you? Any thoughts on the Sasquatch?
None. No, I have no Sasquatch thoughts. You got to deal with Hackney on that.
He does know about it. I mean,
they could be out there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hackney's got a good theory, though. He says if they were out there, somebody where I live, somebody would have hung it or killed it and hung it up in their garage by now. So
big go.
It could happen. It could.
Yeah.
You're more into UFOs than you are Sasquatch. You shut down Sasquatch very quickly, Denny.
Yeah, you know, West Texas is known for UFOs. All kinds of weird stuff happens out there around whatever those towns are, Martha or something like that.
All your years traveling, what's the weirdest thing you saw while traveling on the road?
Oh, God. Probably we were out at Lake Mead and on the way to the ramp early in the morning. Of course, back in those days, you stayed at the casinos and it'd be 110 when you get up in the middle of the night and have an hour drive out there to the lake. And I was following Zell Rowland and the road curved and his old van followed the road and his boat and trailer went straight off a cliff, down the cliff. Goodbye.
Wow. The Zell pop. What did he say?
Well, you know, Zell, he didn't get real excited and he had a chance to win the tournament. And they got him another boat somehow. And he did get on the water. He ended up not winning the tournament, but he pretty well had totaled everything out. And so he didn't know really what happened. So whether somebody sabotaged his hitch or what, but he lost his boat and trailer. Just one of the many stories I could tell you about Zell. So.
Zell's got a lot of stories. And everybody that's boat falls off a trailer, it's always sabotaged. Like if you ask that person, it's never like, I didn't clip it right. Yeah. It's always sabotage.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault at all. he should have known things weren't going to go right because on the way out to Lake Mead, he was following me. And you get out there, you can drive pretty fast. And so we're flying down the interstate at whatever the speed was. I'm passing a Winnebago. And we had CB radios back then. And I yelled back at Zell, I says, slow down, you're not going to make it. There's construction here. And all these big, 50-gallon construction barrels or whatever, the detour traffic. I whip in, I get in front of the Winnebago, and he's staring right in the face of this line of 50-gallon barrels or whatever. And I look back, and those barrels are flying 25 yards up in the air, and he just took the whole row out. That's how his trip started. Typical Zell, he just let it roll right off him.
So you had me at CB radios. There was a time when the Bass pros that I grew up idolizing were just rolling down the road talking to each other on CB radios.
Absolutely.
What was your
That's how you
handle?
roll.
Did you have a handle?
Yeah, I did. Broken back.
Do you remember Zell's handle?
No. Yeah, I should. The Master Disaster or something like
that. Sounds like good times.
Those were good times.
Yeah, I'm sure. One of the things that has become very popular in today's competition world is team fishing, anglers working together. Was that at all a thing when you were competing? And if so, was it successful?
I don't think it was as big a deal back then. I think a lot of times you had a couple guys that maybe roomed together that shared a lot of information. I always kind of wanted to go do my own thing. And I felt if I shared with people, the odds would probably go down on me having a chance to win, especially if it was a certain area of the lake or whatever. So I kind of was a little bit of a loner that way until my son started fishing. And then we totally shared information. He may take a certain arm of the lake and I'd take a certain arm of the lake, and we'd try to get a pattern figured out a little bit faster. And I think that was an advantage. But other than that, I know like Tommy and Martin and Larry Nixon, they roomed together and shared a lot of information. There were different teams like that. But as far as, 4 or 5 guys like you see nowadays, I don't remember any of that, Dave.
Do you like that as part of the sport, or would you like that to go away?
Well, at this point in my career, it really doesn't matter a bit what they do.
That is a wonderful way of looking at things. Do you look at a lot of things like that, Denny?
I do now, yeah. Why worry about it? It's not part of my gig. I kind of wish it was everybody on their own to a certain extent, to where their true ability that they possess really comes out, then rather than riding somebody else's coattails, so to speak. But it's just changing times. It seems to be working for certain groups of people.
I've run a Yamaha outboard for over 30 years. It has got me home safe each and every time. If you enjoy this podcast, remember, Yamaha supports it and they care enough about you to make this ad read very short. Now back to the show. It definitely is. Another thing that gets thrown around in today's fishing world, that gets referred to at different things, but people fishing in the gray, kind of the attitude of if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, pushing the limits. Did that happen often that we didn't see?
Not that I'm aware of. It probably happened more than I'm aware of, just because I kind of stayed off to myself more than probably some other people did. I remember back in the early years, there was always the what they called the Roland Martin rules, because Roland had always tried to stretch it as much as he could, not breaking them, but taking advantage of gray areas, so to speak. But I'm just not in the loop that much about what goes on nowadays. I hear some rumors, I guess, but I guess I really don't know what you even are referring to when you say gray areas.
It's just people. There's people that push rules. That it's not totally against the rules, but it's not. You're not keeping to the why the rule was written type thing. What kind of things did what Roland Martin rules is there?
Oh gosh, I don't really even remember. I really don't know any specifics right now. I just remember everybody referring to the Roland Martin rules. So. And some of it's probably before my time. I didn't start until 1980. So
Yeah. You were 34, right?
that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. From Nebraska. 34-year-old Ben Milliken from Nebraska started a few years ago. Have you spent any time with him, or are you aware of Ben Milliken?
I'm aware of Ben, yeah, but I have not met him. I do not know him. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's ahead for you? What's the plan? New year, new you. What are the plans for this year? Kill a mountain lion?
Oh, yeah, that'll be my last hunt until fall. Just a bunch of fishing. I'll probably try to get to Mexico, to one of the lakes down there again this year. Got a new white lab pup coming in April. We're all excited about. We lost our good old lab from, I guess she was almost 12 years old. We lost her a few months ago, so we're really looking forward to that. And so I'll be spending a lot of time doing a little dog training. But other than that, just life as usual.
Well, it sounds like a good year ahead for you. And I always love catching up with you. I mean, we joked beforehand because the nice thing about you is if you don't want to answer, I don't feel bad asking you anything. But if you don't want to answer, you just say, yeah, I'm not answering that.
Well, why answer something you're not comfortable with? I'm not going to make something up. I'm going to try to tell it how it is, Dave. You know that. And I try to be truthful and answer to the best of my ability. But there's some days I'm a little brain dead too, and today's kind of one of them days. But
Well, you might be slightly concussed from your boat accident too.
that's what I'm blaming it on. Yeah, I don't know if there's a lawsuit there or not, but we may have to check into that.
See how things go with the mountain lion hunt.
I may try to get to the Classic, Dave, at Fort Worth. It's only a 6-hour drive for me, so maybe I'll see you up there.
I would love to see you there, and I know lots of Bassmaster fans. Denny Brauer, you have given so many great memories to all of us, and it's always good to spend a little time together. But I thank you for doing this.
Anytime, Dave. I appreciate you having me on.
The one and only. Oh, wait. What? I was supposed to have like an unveiling or something. Look behind me. The set has grown. Look what we got.
Oh,
Your
my
box.
goodness.
You're enshrined.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, that's very nice.
Yeah. You're enshrined in the, I don't know if it's the Hall of Fame, might be the Hall of Shame, but I'm always looking at you. So, and I mean, you motivated me since I was having you show up. I've been meaning to hang it up there for like a year. And I thought, hey, Denny's coming out. I better hang up the freaking Wheeties Box quick.
Yeah, really. You'll probably take it down.
No way. That's there forever. I mean, it's Ray Scott's hat and Denny Brauer's Wheeties Box. It's a strong pairing there.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Denny, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you, Dave.
There you have it, the one and only Denny Brauer. He, plain and simple, he's a badass, is what he is. I mean, he's just a little more manly than your average. I think I'm manly. Excuse me. I don't know if that proved it or just proved I'm a pig, but we're just gonna leave that in there. Yeah, I mean it's real. I mean I could retake it, sure, but people burp. You know what? People also fart. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just saying people burp. I bet Denny Brauer's burps are even more scary, though. What I'm saying is I'm kind of manly, but I think Denny Brauer's just a little bit more manly. At a moment's notice, I'm leaving to go hunt a mountain lion. He's just a manly man. Thank you, Denny Brauer. Make sure to check out his episode of The Cast. I will put a link down below. Also, if you're in the Toronto area, swing by the Toronto Boat Show Yamaha booth this Saturday from 10 till 1. Swing by and say hello. All of you One of my favorite episodes of Facts of Fishing this season comes out this week. Check it out. We call it Outdoor Immersion. All the underwater footage, all the nature sounds, everything packed into a show. Makes you feel like you're surrounded in the outdoors. And this week's show is one of my favorites. So make sure you check it out. Outdoor Channel in the U.S., obviously Sportsnet 360 in Canada, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Make sure to check that out. And hey, have a good week. I do apologize for burping. Hopefully, sorry. Have a great week. Enjoy being. And as always, hey, Bob Cobb, take it away.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?